Germain Lussier joins us now on Beyond the Blast Doors. He is an entertainment reporter for Gizmodo and IO9. Germain, thank you for joining us, man. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Really thrilled to have you here. I heard you a few months ago, I think, talking with Steele Saunders about your experience at Galaxy's Edge. And here we are in this moment talking about Galaxy's Edge here on Beyond the Blast Doors because, Germain, you've been in the park. From my understanding, you've been on the rides and tasted the food, right?
I've walked through the rides and I've tasted some of the food. I have not ridden the rides. When I was there, it was like a couple months ago, so they were still in construction. But it's getting really close now, and I get a chance to go in a couple of weeks right before the doors open, so I'm pretty excited.
I appreciate you throwing that in our face right at the top of this interview. No, we're just really jealous. Before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the article that you just pushed out on Thursday regarding what we'll call crowd control at the California location, can you just tell us, as someone who's already been there, and I know that it wasn't finished, but you were able to walk that park at least and see what's in development and what we're going to be able to experience here as soon as a month. Can you give us like your reaction to just the grandness of this new park?
I mean, it sucks that my job is to write about it because it was so hard to put into words how amazing it is. I mean, the Millennium Falcon especially, because that was done when I was there. A lot of the other things, I think until you see people in them, until you see the stands filled with food and merch, it's going to be kind of hard. The ride, like I can sort of have an idea of what it's going to be like. But to stand under a Millennium Falcon as a Star Wars fan, as anybody really, it's such a famous thing. But if you're a Star Wars fan, you've seen the Millennium Falcon, you have a toy of it, you have this and that. But this is a real size Millennium Falcon. It's there. And it's so massive and impressively detailed that you just look at it, and I was like, if I don't need to ride a ride, I could just stand here all day. It's so frigging beautiful. And then, like, you just want to look at it from every angle. And then, it's really hard to put into words. And there's some other reveals throughout the park. They made the whole park based on reveals. Like, you turn a corner, you see the Falcon. You do this ride, and you open these doors, and there's something you've been waiting to see your entire life. And they should have Kleenex at every single stand here because people are going to be crying at how emotional it is to actually feel like you're in Star Wars, because it really does feel like that.
I have some aspects that really excite me, and we can talk about those later. One, I want to build my own lightsaber really badly.
Oh, yeah.
And I also want to try that Gold Squadron Lager, because that, for some reason, that excites me. I'm thinking it's going to be like a Mick Ultra, but we'll find out. I guess we'll find out in about a month. Your article this week that you put out there, it was about crowd control at the park. About that first month that it's open, is that fair to say, to Germain?
Yeah, it's about a month, a little less than a month.
And David, it really stuck out to you, a quote saying that as far as there's going to be 4 hours that you're going to be allowed in this first month to go.
Colored wristbands that are going to, stormtroopers and other personnel will kind of show you the door once your time's expired on that.
But I want you, ask your man about that quote that you brought to our attention, which was the Disney park exec being like, you only need 4 hours.
Yeah, so having walked through the park and seeing these reveals and wishing you had tissues and getting the goosebumps and the hair on your arms to stand up, do you feel like after 4 hours, the Star Wars fan, even a diehard or a casual fan, are going to be like, okay, time to go somewhere else now?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I was a little taken back by that quote as well. But I do think in 4 hours, you can experience a lot of it, especially now that there's only one ride opening. Because when it opens in May, in August as well in Orlando, only Smuggler's Run is going to be open, and they're going to control the line for that. So you take 2 hours and you cut that off. So you have 2 hours to really just walk around and eat or like buy stuff. And so I think that's what they're saying. Like, I think just the awe of it, yeah, you could sit there for 40 hours and not experience it. So yeah, I kind of disagree with the quote. So I agree with you guys, but I do understand what they're saying is that after 4 hours, you've ridden the ride, you've eaten a bunch of food. You probably couldn't get drunk. It'd be very difficult to drink that much. But you could be very full and be very broke after buying everything after like 4 hours, and then be like, I'll come back another time. I think that's what they mean. I think you can.
Disney's more thinking after 4 hours, you're going to have to go out of the park to find an ATM and then come back in.
Yes, they will take credit cards. So as long as your credit limit is nice and high, you should be okay. Though who knows if they're going how is not everybody in that park going to buy every single thing? So I don't know how they're going to keep inventory in. That's to me a question that hasn't been answered yet. So we'll see.
Well, it's gonna be I guess you're kind of giving us an indication of how expensive the beers are. If I can't get drunk at Galaxy's Edge, I mean, it must be a lot of credits for a beer.
No, no. The way I think about it is, and this is just my personal thing, is that they only serve the alcohol in the cantina. The cantina is relatively small, so let's say it takes an average human 4 beers or 4 drinks to get drunk. More, you know what I mean? Let's just
please, 2. I'm a financially conservative drunk.
There you go. Then congratulations. 2 drinks, I think you'd be okay. But think about having a drink, getting back to the bar, getting another drink. And yeah, there's beer and wine, but a lot of people are going to want to try the cocktails, and the cocktails are not going to have that much alcohol in them. And then you'll get diabetes just from drinking those cocktails if you need like 12
very sweet. Just the way I like them.
I think it's possible, but then you can't keep it going. You can't bring the beer or liquor out of the cantina. And so you can get drunk in there, and then you're just sobering up walking around Batu, which could be fun, but also could be kind of headache inducing.
Can you talk about, and just maybe this is a better question for you to pose, but we were talking about on our show that we're concerned about how much time waiting in line will eat up. And I wonder, could you throw out your question that you had earlier just about how much time do you think standing in line will eat up your experience here at the park?
Yeah, so I read this article and everything, saw this, the 4-hour, time limit, and you mentioned, how beautiful seeing the Falcon was. I can tell you, like, I'm gonna want to stand next to it and take maybe a couple pictures, kind of thing, like things like that. And you're gonna see other sites like that throughout this park. That's gonna take up an amount of time. So you said the ride itself is 2 hours roughly.
The thing is that it's impossible to say.
Okay.
But I think from what I understand from this article and just hearing other people talk about it is the amount of people they're going to let in per wristband is relatively small in terms of the entire 14 acres.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're hoping that people don't, if everybody in the park immediately runs to that ride, then it's probably going to be a 4-hour wait. But if you go into that ride and maybe run to build your lightsaber, run to get a beer, or run to buy toys or take photos, and then you wait until like 2.5 hours into your experience and then get in line, I think the line will be less. I think that's what they're trying to gauge there. I think it really depends on like spreading out and maximizing that 4 hours.
Jermaine, I have one more question for you here. A lot of the things that we've been hearing about this park is going to have a lot of role play involved in it, and with the comic tie-ins and the novels and stuff like that. Are we kind of assuming that this role play is going to be geared towards the people who are staying in the Star Wars themed hotels? Or will the day visitors who get just the 4 hours to hop in, will they get the opportunity to participate in whatever this role play type activity is going to be?
Right. Well, the Star Wars hotel is only the hotel's only being built in Orlando, and they just broke ground on it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So that will be a whole other level of role play that we have no idea about yet. So the anybody who goes in there will be able to role play, not just from like just riding the rides; those are all story canon integrated, but you'll have an app on your phone that you can go around and like make complete tasks and things like that. And that will be sort of how you get into the story. And also just everybody in there, everybody's in character. The people who's selling you the beer, the person who's selling you the toy, the blue milk, whatever it is. Those people are all in character. So if you ask them Star Wars questions, they'll give you Star Wars answers in canon, and so, they're not going to reveal like, what happens to Kylo Ren or, where's Snoke. They're going to be like they're people who live in a galaxy far, far away. So they think that's really kind of the role play experience.
Jermaine, can I ask, because you get to go back when the park is more complete, what is the element or aspect of this park that you're most excited to get back to first? Like, what do you want to see more of now that it has, X number of months more of polish?
Yeah. I think for me, I didn't get to try what blue milk is. So I really want to try the blue milk. I think I'm going to grab a blue milk. I'm going to run to, you guys mentioned it real quick, the Sabi's workshop to build my own lightsaber.
Yes.
I want that experience, and I want to have something to bring home with me. Because when I went last time, I wasn't even allowed to take a photo, let alone get any good, memorabilia. It's just all up here. And then I'm just going to like maybe go Indian style and sit under the Falcon for a while and just have a good cry and then I'll go on the ride. And I think that's about my experience when I go in a couple weeks.
I think that works. We only have a couple more minutes with you. So, Jesse, you have one more question. I'll have a follow-up.
So we just got back from Celebration and everything, and they had a booth for Galaxy's Edge there with some of the merchandise, like the costumes and some of the lightsaber examples. Were you able to actually get a close look at some of this, like the costumes, the lightsabers that they had on display? Like, as far as quality goes, do you feel like they're decent quality, or is this going to feel like going into the toy section at Walmart and picking up like a plastic lightsaber from there? Do you feel like it's going to be like a Black Series, like Hasbro?
Yeah, I think it's going to be that's a good comparison. I don't think it's quite like master replicas, because they need to make money. But the Saber is going to cost you about $120, which is even more expensive than like a Black Series. So I think it's going to be, like I said, not quite master replicas, icons, that type of thing, but right under that. They're not like, they're like hard plastic or some kind of metal. I don't know exactly what they're made of, but it felt good. And I'm somebody who collects prop replicas. I have 2 solo blasters. I have like 3 lightsabers. So it's not going to be that, but they're going to be display quality and really pretty nice. They're not the Build-A-Saber thing that you have at Disney right now.
Okay. Jermaine, I got to ask you, a cooler moment as a Star Wars fan. You mentioned that you have 2 solo blasters. So is that being able to see Galaxy's Edge in person before the rest of the world, or getting the opportunity to meet Harrison Ford?
Oh, I mean, it was, when I interviewed Harrison Ford for Force Awakens, that was it. I could have just ended it right there. I mean, think about, like, not even Han Solo. As a Han Solo fan, I walk in and that's Indiana Jones. That's Rick Deckard. It's Jack Ryan. I mean, it's Harrison Ford. And it was me and him in the room for 10 minutes talking about Han Solo. I still don't believe it happened. I look at the photo now still, and I read the interview back, and I'm like, what, me? I worked at IO9. The guy in front of me was the Wall Street Journal, and the guy behind me is the Washington Post. So I don't know how it happened. A lot of good Star Wars juju. That beats it. If we got to talk to him in Galaxy's Edge, that might beat it, but that's about it.
Well, Germain Lussier, he is an entertainment reporter for Gizmodo and IO9, and we really appreciate you taking some time to get us up to date with Galaxy's Edge, and we'll just be following your lead for more updates out of the park.
Please do. I can't wait, and I hope you guys get to go soon and really enjoy it.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jermaine.
Have a good one.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.